martial arts school owner, to the podcast today. He built multiple locations in his martial arts school. He's a coach, mentor, and he's done phenomenal things in the martial arts world, and he's a great guy too. So welcome to the podcast, Mr. Ricky Dubidat. How are we doing, Rick?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on, Gordon. How are things?
Always a pleasure, mate. Always an absolute pleasure. So we're on the Martial Arts Business Podcast, and we're live streaming on YouTube as well. So I love doing these interviews, and I'm really excited to have you on. So I thought it'd be really good to give the listeners a bit of a backstory about your martial arts journey. Always good for the listeners to hear the story, really. So when did you start martial arts? When was your birth into the martial arts world?
Okay, cool. So it's a bit of a strange one, because it started pretty much when as soon as I could walk in combat sports, because my dad was an amateur boxer. He wasn't that good from what I've been told. but yeah, so as you can imagine, with any dad having a son, having their first son, he wants him to be able to box, etc., etc. So that's how that started. And then moved on to a little bit of traditional karate at one of my dad's cousins' clubs in somewhere in West Bromwich. I don't even remember it. The only thing I remember about that class is the orangeade that we had in a little white. That's all I remember from it, if I'm honest. So I did that, didn't really like it. And then kind of fell into the American kickboxing with the PKA when I was, I don't know, 13, something like that, 12 or whatever it was, around that age. Went with a group of friends, didn't really take it seriously, obviously. Yeah, so I did kickboxing. I was at the PK for a long time. Then I went on to other places. And then I found a family member took me to my very first competition with the world famous Winspers. So like Matt Winsper, Steve Winsper and stuff. I went to a competition not knowing anything about rule sets. All I knew were the kickboxing I came from. The PK was like, I know now, looking back, it was like K1.
Yeah.
Low kick. So I went to a points competition, knowing jab cross, rear low kick to the leg. That's pretty much all I was good at, doing that. And I came third in the comp, out of 3 people.
Wow.
So then Steve Winsper asked me to come and try out, so that had potential. Instructors say that to everybody, don't they? Next day I was training there, and that led on to I kind of classed that as the start of my martial art journey. So that was the first proper martial arts training that was like high level. Did that, competed all over Europe and stuff. Got titles as we do, British, European and stuff. And then got sent to Athens to fight for the WPK world title with a Mr. Rob Taylor. So both of us went over to there, won my fight over there and got a world title, and came back thinking, what the hell? How did this happen? And then the Winspers started introducing different various martial arts into what they did. And that was kind of my introduction into cross training. If it wasn't for them bringing other things in and opening my eyes to different areas of martial arts, then it wouldn't have happened. And a legend who's no longer with us, unfortunately, Mr. Jon Jones, he was just amazing. He was traveling, doing seminars with Guru Dan in Santo and doing Thai boxing training, and coming back and doing MMA. He was the first person that I knew that actually fought MMA. And it wasn't even called MMA, it was called Valetudo Jiu-Jitsu. So that was my first thing. I went into Valetudo Jiu-Jitsu, trained at Tapat Academy with Mr. Mick Broster, who's still around. He runs 10th Planet, and an amazing instructor. Brutal, but an amazing instructor, and still is to this day. Trained there, and then went off into Thai boxing as well. Filipino martial arts, Kali. So like going down the training with a guy called Michael Wright with self-protection and all that kind of stuff, and Gary Hoptroff, who Emma Hoptroff is in this community. It was her husband that guided me in the in JKD and Kali and Panatukan and all the Filipino martial arts properly, and basically exposed me to the bigger world of it, and I just got hooked. So my love at the moment, and has been for a long time, is the Filipino martial arts, and also Thai boxing and boxing. So I still love everything else. So that was it for my martial art journey. And I just love cross training. The different arts have got so many different ways of doing the same thing, different nuances, different kind of takes on a single technique. That's why I love it, because you can go back to your kickboxing class and instead of teaching it exactly the same way as everybody else or in one way, you can just teach just a jab. You could teach a jab for like a month if you've cross-trained enough, and the students will still be excited. It's that deeper understanding. I just love education and stuff. So that's pretty much my martial art journey.
I think it's great, and we're very similar in that way. Learn different styles, and I attribute my world titles to obviously the main man Alfie Lewis, but also the addition of the Filipino arts in Dossi Perez, and training the Kali and training the Jung Fan Kung Fu and all of that stuff. Ali Tuda, I trained with like Lee Hasdale for a long time.
Oh, brilliant, yeah.
He was quality. And many people don't know that, but yeah, the arts, the multitude of different arts. You're right. They're all a different spin on what one. And the great thing is when you learn different ranges, it actually enhances everything within your. If you've got like, for instance, let's say sport karate. If you're learning jiu-jitsu or you're learning, Filipino arts with the angles and the movement and the, all of that stuff. I think it's really powerful, and many people stay isolated in one specific style.
It's so true. Yeah, I remember like that. Just reminded me of one thing that happened. I've had 2 MMA fights. I remember fighting in Exeter on a guy called Andy Barker's show. He used to run some like big shows around the country and stuff, MMA fight shows. And I went down to that, and I was average. I mean, I trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff as well. I think it was about blue belts at the time or whatever. But I went into an MMA fight, and old habits just kick in, don't they? When your back's against the wall. So I stood against this guy, and I looked at the guy, and I was thinking, what am I doing here? What am I why am I doing this? Yeah. And the first thing I did? I blitzed him. That's the first thing I did, just straight off. I mean, it worked. He got me from A to B, and he stopped me from getting my legs chopped away from underneath me, because he was a he was a unit. But yeah, it's mad how blending the martial arts together, all of a sudden, I don't actually see the labels of the arts unless I'm teaching. Like you said, it's just the ranges, and it takes it a lot further.
Yeah, it's great. I love that. Really good to get an insight on your journey. So you started, when did you open your first martial arts school? Like, so when was that?
I don't even know the year, to be honest. It would have been around 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
Around about those times, I think.
Did you? Was it a full time? Was it a part time? What did you?
No. I was working as an IT manager in the daytime, and I was working as an IT manager, and I was still training at the Wingspurs, and I think I was probably training a couple other places. I was just going mad because at that age, no responsibilities, no kids, you know what I mean? I was just like doing whatever I wanted to do. I'll just train. And it was a little church hall, and it was £4 a night, not an hour, £4 for the night. And I opened that purely, it sounds really bad and egotistical, purely to just like spar and beat up my friends and stuff. That's all I wanted to do. Yeah. So, it started off with friends coming down, and then just loads of sparring and everything. And then I realized that they were bringing like other people in, and they were complete novices. And then all of a sudden they were bringing their like cousins and little brothers and stuff. It's like, oh shit, I've got a martial arts school. And I had 10, 12 people paying £3 for the night. Had my little cash tin at the side. Yeah. And then I started trying to structure it. Moved from there to a little church hall to when we outgrew that quite quickly. I mean, we were doing grappling on carpet. It was just ridiculous because I was just so into the cross training. There was no curriculum, no syllabus, nothing, no gradings. And then I opened up, moved to some primary schools, hired a couple of primary schools, expanded. And when I moved there, thankfully I had the foresight and the education because of coming from Wingspurs with their full-time centres, and they exposed us to a lot of other schools and stuff like Jon Jones and all these guys. So I had knowledge and education from that. to know to split the classes and do the basics that like we take for granted for now. So I split the classes and then started putting programs together, and that was it. And then all of a sudden I was teaching like across 3 primary schools, and working in the daytime, and it was brilliant. Then still trying to compete at the weekends. It was mad. I look back now and I don't know how I had the energy to do it all, but loved every second of it.
Youth, mate. Youth. That's great.
Yeah, that's it.
So, and then when did you make the transition to full time then? So I'm always interested in this. Where did you make that transition? What was it? Was it to a full time venue, or did you just kind of, you know?
It was a full time venue. What happened was I used to go to work, and a lot of people are going to resonate with this now. So I used to go to work 9 to 5, whatever the hours were, and I think I finished at 5 o'clock. And my first class started at about 5:20. So I was always leaving like earlier than I should have, getting there, rushing, flustered, and then doing that. And then I did put a lot, because of my background, and I love education, so I kept growing in that assets, and I kept growing and growing and growing in school. And I got to about 70 something members this way. So I had a full-time job and had about 70 something members. But they were still paying per lesson. So realistically, I had 0 members. Right, so I had 70 people on the books, and then I was like, okay, so I can't keep doing it like this. So I changed jobs, and I went and got a part-time. But I looked to work for a software house and working part-time hours, because it was a small software house. It paid really well. It actually paid more than my full-time job before, which was ridiculous. So I was so lucky at that time. So it was easy for me to do. The only problem was it was the distance, because it was over in Solihull. But it meant I could get back and start building my school more. So I did that, and then that allowed me to get my first unit, which was 1,250 square feet. So if anybody that's listening to this that doesn't really know what that means, that's about the size of your living room. So parents used to stand outside, and then one day, because of building that up and the stresses and everything that comes with that growth and development, getting more students in, so I got over 100 and everything. I was taking a mickey at work, so I was using their printing facilities. I was going to work and like building my website. I don't know if guys remember MySpace.
Yeah.
Some of the younger guys going, huh, what's that?
Yeah.
Social media before social media is what it is now. So I used to, again, I don't know whether this is incriminating myself. I used to have a bot crawling MySpace while I was at work on one screen, and targeting people that lived in the West Midlands, and adding them as a friend automatically, and then automatically messaging them to get them booked in for classes. Now that was cutting edge. I'm quite proud of that.
Very cool.
Yeah, I got me banned quite a few times.
Yeah.
I was doing loads of stuff at work, and then I got pulled up on it. Pulled into the boardroom and sat down with a couple of the directors, and they just like, they said it can't happen, blah 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 blah, and all this kind of thing. So I actually said, you know what, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And I handed my notice in there and then, and I've never been so scared in my life. Walked out, and then I rang my wife. We weren't even married then, but rang my wife, told her, and she was like, it's gonna be okay. And for the first year it wasn't. It really wasn't. So that was a transition that I made to go full time.
Amazing, mate. Really good. And obviously when you first start out, like that first, I'm always interested in the first few years of going full time. Like, what was that like?
Oh, that was interesting. That was funny. I learned so many lessons very, very quickly. So first thing I learned was that as much as I like to try and innovate and reinvent the wheel, you can't do that with everything. You just can't. Some things just are the way they are because they should be the way they are. So when I went in and had my first full-time place, I tried to do loads of things very, very differently. The curriculum, and I had a combat kickboxing curriculum and all these kind of mad things, instead of just sticking to what I knew. So that was a massive learning curve. Also trying to be something that I wasn't. And I think that comes with age anyway, where you become more comfortable with who you are and what you are, and you strengthen your weaknesses. But at that time, I think I was trying to make my martial arts school like a super center. that was the everything to everybody when I wasn't at that level yet. And I had me, that was me. I was the only staff member. I mean, my wife used to help out, but she was a fitness instructor, personal trainer and stuff like that. So she had her own career and stuff. So she helped out. She trained in the martial arts. And she actually had her own club as well that we ran together over in Bewdley, in a little sports centre. It was actually quite successful. But the mistakes I made were ridiculous, like not paying rent on time. I didn't know about business rates to start off with. Can you believe that? Change of use. I was like, change of what? So all of these things, I made all of those mistakes in the beginning. I also learned one of the biggest mistakes was trying to scale too fast and too soon without forward planning. So I went from that 1,250 square foot unit to a 4,000 square foot unit with 2 floors. And it looked absolutely brilliant when I walked in. So it's amazing for my ego, not so much for the bank balance. So just coping with all of that was, it was stressful. And that's when I started bringing people on board to help with classes and stuff, and I picked the wrong people. The people that I picked to help out in the classes were like my fighters, because still doing competition, still running around everywhere doing comps and stuff for them. And obviously the fighters didn't really appreciate that. It was just like me. And so I picked those guys and then realized they're not really the best people after years and years and years and years of them making mistakes and like not doing what they're supposed to be doing and not turning up half of the month, but still expecting to get paid for the full month, and like paying people cash in hand. All these kind of little mistakes that I made. I'm thankful for every single one because they're all lessons, but I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, 100%. I know it's fascinating that you've got to go through them learnings that you can't shortcut. Like like anyone who's listening here, if you're brand new to like building a school, or you've been around for decades, when you want to make a shift to building a real business or a proper business or profitable business or a business of whatever, however you see it as being successful, you have to go through these challenges. I think that many school owners think that it's all right for them. Like they don't know. That's why I like these interviews. Don't know the backstory. Like it's, what would you say to a martial arts school owner starting out right now? Imagine if they're starting out right now, what would be some of the tips that you would give them in the sense of from the learnings you had when you first started out?
Okay, first thing is know where you're going, know what your journey, where you want to be, because like it's just like anything in life, isn't it? If you don't have a destination where you want to be, then you're just going to go all over the place. Have some kind of destination. So know that you want to get to like, I don't know, 100 members in the next year, or you want to teach these classes. Know whether you want to teach all the classes yourself or you only want to teach a portion of them. What is it you actually want from the business instead of doing it for the sake of doing it? Because to start off with, if I'm honest, that's why I did it. I did it for the sake of doing it. I had no aspirations to be a big school owner or even have a career in the martial arts. It was a hobby that got out of control. So that was one thing. The other thing is learn from other people's mistakes. There's no need to make the mistakes that I made back then. Didn't have heavy consequences because I had nobody relying on me. It didn't matter. I had disposable income from work and all that kind of thing. So when I made massive mistakes, like, oh shit, I haven't paid that. Didn't know I had to pay that. It's $4,000. Okay, I'll pay it. It wasn't an issue. That's not always the case for everybody. I was lucky I had that backup and had my family behind me and stuff. But learn from other people's mistakes with the internet and the networks we've got. You know what I mean? There's so many resources now for you to learn from other people's mistakes and listen. And when you think you know better, more often than that, you don't. The people have made all the mistakes, so you don't have to.
I agree with you. And I think that many people have an ego, don't they? And they think that they know best. And, learning about martial arts and actually running a business are two different things. And, if you want to learn to run a business, you've got to leave your ego at the door, and you've got to realize you don't know it. Like, unless you're, highly successful or whatever it is for you, then, you know, number one is you never know it all. Number two is that if you're not where you need to be, you need to leave your ego at the door, and you need to be open to new ideas, and not just to learn, but to apply.
Yeah.
We've been around this industry a long time, haven't we? And like the amount of our industry, especially in the UK, for instance, would be a lot bigger if the instructors had an open mind. You know, I'm sure you've seen the same many times, Rick.
That's so true. It's really true. I mean, one thing you hit on as well is the action. Get the information from people. People will help you. The information and the guidance is there. Take it, but you have to take action. There seems to be in the UK our level of accountability and action is not the same as in the States.
No,
it isn't at all. The States can charge more, not because of like they're better than us or anything. It is simply because they will take action. They've got more confidence behind taking action and doing, whereas we like to talk about and talk about others doing instead of just getting our head down and getting it done. And have a higher purpose as well. If you're teaching if you're running a full-time martial arts school just to open a martial arts school, that'll take you so far. If you're opening it to make a difference or just to make a difference to other people, even that will only take you so far. There needs to be several different whys behind it to push it forward. And it needs to be for yourself, it needs to be for your family, it needs to be for the community, it needs to be for the art that you're teaching. If you tick all those boxes, I don't think you can go wrong.
No, I don't even. And I'd like to touch on a point about, you know, the myth of selling out, like lots of schools. And it's the biggest problem in the UK. Like in America, they don't have that problem. In the UK, it's something I've been banging the drum about for years, like the myth of you're a sellout if you make money, or you've got a big school, you're clearly not in it for the martial arts. What are your thoughts around that?
It's interesting when I hear people saying that, oh yeah, that school's a McDojo, they're selling out and stuff. We all know there are crap schools and there are amazing schools, but it depends on what your gauge of success and good and bad is. And in reality, I don't think any of the schools in the UK are where they should be. We've all got points that we need to improve on, whether it's the business aspects, communication and stuff, or what we actually teach and how we teach. Because let's face it, how many people in this country have actually got professional qualifications in teaching or coaching? Not many, if we're honest. So how good is their teaching? This is I'm not saying we've got bad teachers, but we need to be honest about it. Now, selling out, I spoke to somebody the other day that was refuses to. Asked whether their son or daughter is still doing online classes for karate and stuff. And the answer was no, the instructor's not doing it. I was like, why? Oh, he doesn't agree with doing it online because it doesn't feel great. Wow. Like, what, your son or daughter? No, the instructor. So this is the guy's like a really respectable, really good karateka, right? I'm not gonna mention names and stuff, but he refused it because it doesn't feel right for him. Now, the same viewpoints would be that other people that are doing Zoom classes are selling out because they're doing it to keep money coming in. So who's selling out? Is it the person that's still providing martial arts in some way, shape or form so that the students can get the benefits of martial arts, which is what we promised in the beginning when they joined? Or is it the person that refuses to do it because it's not done in the way that he or she feels great about delivering it? This is the thing. It's not selling out. Doing things differently and innovating is taking the art forward. Marketing is taking the art forward, giving it out to the masses so more people can benefit from what we do. Selling out is not growing your school. Selling out is not looking at how you can improve your facilities. Selling out is like just not investing in the industry in itself to help the whole industry grow. So we're still here in 100 years and people actually take us serious. So we can charge decent monthly fees and have the lifestyles that we want so that our students can have the lifestyles that they want from what we teach them. So people get the whole selling out thing completely backwards.
A lot of it's ego, isn't it? Like you just mentioned that about not wanting to do online classes. I mean, the guys who have embraced martial arts classes I think martial arts has been amazing through this pandemic. I believe we've produced the best activities for kids online bar none. I haven't seen any that have done what martial arts schools have done. you know. And there's this thing, isn't there, around evolution, like the evolution of martial arts. I mean, we're supposed to be evolving. Martial arts is about being open-minded. It's about evolving and growing. I find it fascinating that there's still lots of school owners that don't want to evolve. They want to stay where they are. What's your thoughts around that? Like evolution, like growing and evolving as an industry. And some people don't even like being called an industry. I've had that when I was on, you know, ads and the industry. We're not an industry. It's like, yeah, we are.
Crazy.
Yeah, you know.
It's madness. I mean, like, there are certain what can I call them? There's certain philosophies or rules, I should say, to life that are standard rules and they apply to everything. One is that if you're not growing, you're dying. It doesn't matter. I don't think there's anybody that can prove me wrong on that. That if you're not growing, you're dying as a person. If you're not evolving and growing and learning new things daily, then your mindset's only going to go one way. If you're not training, then your body goes one way. If you're not growing your business and evolving it and stuff, then it's going to go one way, because you're going to get left behind. You can have all your own views and have a fixed mindset view about what things should be and how they were. But how about think about where they could be? That's how I think. So when I think about my school and think about, I do a plan at the beginning of the year. It's like, okay, so what needs to happen this year and where do I want to go? So, okay, the first question I ask is, where could my school go? And that's not based upon everything that's already happening. It's based upon possibilities. When you open up your mind, as you know yourself with possibility thinking, you come up with some weird and wonderful things. Yeah. And that makes the journey interesting. It makes it like it's innovating. And you've got to remember that if you stay still, you don't grow your school and move forward, and everything else around you grows, then there's a kind of disparity between the two. So children are used to doing things online more and more now. You know what I mean? Their education's online. Regardless of whether we like it or what we think about it or the circumstances, children are learning via online means. So who are we to kind of say, oh, they're not gonna learn anything? Okay, so they can learn things that are gonna move them forward in their life online, but you can't teach your curriculum which is set online. How does that even make sense? It's a limited viewpoint, and limited viewpoints don't really inspire a nation to evolve. We've got a duty of care to do what we do and provide it for people because of everything that's happening. We're one of the solutions with mental health.
I think it's fascinating. It just fascinates me, this conversation, because if you're listening in right now, guys, and you feel a little bit stuck and you're like, okay, I'm not really moving forward, it'll be because you're not evolving as a school. And that's me being straight up. All you have to do is learn new things, learn new ways. You know, you have to learn new concepts. The fact is, this world is moving quicker than it's ever. And this next 5 years, I believe we're going to see the biggest change in the way we live as a society than we've ever seen. You know, 5 to 10 years, we're going to be like completely different, more so than we have the last probably 100 years. It's going to be insane because everything moves quicker. Technology, where we're moving as a society, it's going to be unbelievable. And as a martial arts school owner, I wrote about this in my book a few years ago, like the virtual reality, online, talking about that. Like, look at what's happening right now. I mean, you've got to embrace it. We have to. You don't have to do anything. It's embrace or die. Like, you have to. If you want to grow and continue to evolve, education is key. Learning and evolving with that. The learning never stops. I know you're an avid learner, Rick. You're always learning. Yeah. So am I. Like, you've got to keep growing and learning to evolve. And it's that essence of, you've got to move your ego. All of it. We talk about everything here. Everything we've talked about here so far, if you remove your ego, you're going to grow. You're gonna get out your own way.
So true, so true. It's crazy because I remember a conversation that we had a couple of years, probably 2-3 years ago, about virtual training and online. It might be one of the masterminds, something like that. And I remember you saying it's going to go like virtual. We were saying it's going to be literal virtual training, and you'd be able to go into people's living rooms. And we had that conversation. And you know what I mean? And look where we are now. Crazy. So. At the moment, everybody's in the Zoom phase. There's technology being developed and like that's coming now that will we're going to look back at Zoom in 2 years' time and look at it. Look at it as if it's a flipping, I don't know, you know what I mean, like a Nintendo 64 or something. But it's moving so quite quick, and you've got to keep up. And the constant growth and evolution is important. And it could be, if you're like Gunn said, if you're one of those people that you're struggling with change, you're struggling in making those big changes and doing different things, then it might be wise to start to surround yourself with some new people.
100%.
Because the influence of new people, it's amazing. I mean, there's so many ways you can do that. You can get involved in this community even more. You can go the masterminds. You can't beat the masterminds. Don't care what anybody says, man. You go to a mastermind, you're around different people, different viewpoints around the same topic area. Where else are you're not gonna get that anywhere. It's not as if you can go down to the local library or anything and a bunch of martial arts school owners there. You can't. And the way the community is, it's not as open as it could be. Like just ringing up a random instructor saying, "Oh, how did you do that?" It's not that easy yet, is it? Unfortunately.
No.
It's surround yourself with different people, get inspiration, involve yourselves in the conversations online, and just talk. That's all you need to do. Open up. Nobody cares how many students you got, whether you got 3 or 3 million. It's all the same, because like, especially now, it's like we got to a really, really cool number, really, really massaged my ego. Then COVID hit and took 50%.
So it is. I love the conversation, and I think it's important that, you know, we're talking online at the moment. The pandemic hit everybody, but like I said to school owners, Rick, like like these guys, you know, people, if you're listening right now, guys, and you teach in a sports hall or a church hall, let me tell you one thing, guys, okay? It's an even playing field, because the guys who got full-time facility, it's the same. It's all in people's living rooms. And I spoke to a lot of school owners like this and try to shift their brains out from, actually, this is your opportunity right now to go and play. You know, if you want to grow your school, it's even. It's no different. Everyone's like zooming into living rooms, like how, like, and that won't last. I actually believe online will last and carry on and evolve 100% now. Like, I really believe that. But actually, this where it's even, when no one's got the full-time facilities open, etc. This is where you've got to step up. I see so many schools that are trying to survive right now. Like and I get this, I get it, but a bit like exactly like you said there, Rick. If you're surviving, if you're staying here, you're dying. That's the truth. You've got to be growing and evolving. And I've challenged this mindset with different instructors, gurus, whatever it is. They're like, well, no, you've got to survive. And I'm like, whoa. Okay, I don't want anyone to die. I want people to like feel like they're moving forwards and growing. Yeah. You know, and I see it as an opportunity right now and going forwards.
It really is an opportunity, and let's get some clarity. Like when we talk about growth, we're not just talking get loads of students in, more students. That's part of it if you want that, but the growth is so much more. I mean, like personal growth with your knowledge and stuff, building relationships, step outside your comfort zone.
Yep.
Because we've all been like, I've been guilty of this. I've just been comfortable with wake up, do this, tick a box in my head, go to bed. And then this hit, and then it's like, shit, I've got to up my game. Yeah. Just in case, because I don't know what's coming, I've got to up my game. And it's led to like even more study for me, even more revelations. I mean, even this is green behind me, because my home office, something I should have done ages ago, is set up a proper green screen and set up like my office as a studio. It's done now. It wouldn't have been done if the pandemic hadn't hit, right? So it's just leveled out the playing field. And guys that are in like church halls and stuff like that, this is your opportunity to like get out there, man. Like seriously, the buildings that we own. I mean, Gordon's got an amazing facility. I've got some amazing facilities and stuff. We've got a new one that I haven't even been able to bloody use properly yet. That I bought, but it looks absolutely amazing. But it just means nothing because nobody can see it, nobody go there. So get out there, do your marketing, everything that you would do before the pandemic. Do it better now. Why? Because you've got more time. And let's face it, if you've been doing stuff properly, you should have a little bit more disposable income as well.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? And you'll thrive. You really will thrive, and enjoy the time as well. When else are we going to get this much time to have laser focus on what is important? This is what I think people are missing.
Once in a century, mate. Once in a century, this that's what they reckon, and it once in a century, this kind of thing happens. You know, we're living through history right now. This is historic. It's great. So I just want to. This has been a great conversation, really good. So I'd like to get some from you now, Rick, for the next sort of 5 minutes until we wrap it up. It's over. Like, what if you were gonna what would you go back and do again better if you had your time again? Okay, so a lot of people go, well, yeah, I'd carry on as a word, but what would, with the knowledge, the wisdom that you've got, and this will help some of the listeners here, what would you go back and do if you're doing it right again now with the knowledge that you have? How would you do it? So
first thing is I would plan better. Fail to plan and is like planning to fail. Sounds cheesy, but it's true. I'd plan better, because when I used to literally wing it week to week. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how many. You need to know your numbers. See, if I knew that I needed to get to 300 members by the end of the year, I'd know how many I needed to enroll, etc., etc. So I'll just plan better. If you don't plan, start now. It's going to help. I would hire correctly. Right, that's the main thing. I've got my notebook here next to me, and I saw it at the corner of my eyes. It's a little methodology that I'm going to share. It's not long, I promise. It's a STAR methodology, if I can find it, when you're hiring. Anyway, I can't find it. But still, when you're hiring people, make sure you hire the right people for the right reasons. I used to have people that were fighters. They had to be black belts and no fighters, and the people that I spoke to the most. And without offending them, they were shit instructors. You know what I mean? They got on with everybody. Everybody liked them. And when they taught, they were okay. But they were still all about me. And then when I made that shift and hired people that cared for the different, I've got different avatars for different classes. So most of my little ninja instructors are like moms. Why? Because they have kids. They understand children as more than anybody else. They understand the problems that come with being a parent trying to get a 4-year-old to class and all this kind of thing. So they're nurturing. Customer service is mom. You know what I mean? There's lots of different things with Thai boxing instructors. So pick the right people. So write down an avatar of each instructor. So my kickboxing class instructor for this age, the perfect instructor would, yes, know the curriculum and all that stuff, but they understand people's needs, this, and it comes down to that as well, doesn't it? Understand people's needs. I would ignore what everybody else, it goes against what I've just said, but I know, but don't get influenced, I should say, by what everybody else is doing. So I did feel early on that for me, in order for me to tick that success box in my head, I had to have a full-time center at a certain time. And maybe I did that too soon. And if I'd waited, and instead of trying to do that with 70-something members, and by the way, when I opened that full-time center, I lost about 60% of them moving from a church hall to a full-time center, simply because it was like 2 miles or 3 miles down the road. It's crazy. Right, so maybe if I waited a bit later and planned it properly and did a better onboarding, then I would have had more members then. Find out what you need to know. I didn't know about change of use. I didn't know about business rates and all that stuff. And it was like, oh, it's only like £400 a month for this unit. Brilliant. Plus business rates, plus electricity, all these kind of things. Find out what you need to know. Talk to people. Yeah, talk to other people, network. I think I'm lucky in where I am. Like years ago, I tried to start off a martial art network thing about 12 years ago. And because of the mindset of the instructors, I think I invited about 40 instructors, local instructors, and to a free event. This was like 12 years ago, man. A free event popped on my timeline the other day. And one by one, they all said, yeah, they come in, and then they cancelled one by one. Had the room booked and everything. It was a free event. It was on, I think it was on marketing or something like that. And I did make a few friends from doing that. So I reached out and made a few friends. They're still lifelong friends now, which means I've got a sounding board that I can reach out and speak to people about things and just check on me. So reach out to somebody in your area. Just because they're in your area and they've got a martial arts school, they're not your competition. You can't have all the students in your area. You can't fit them in. Exactly. And somebody that will go to me would not necessarily go to somebody else, and vice versa. 100%. And it's consumer driven. Let the consumers like decide. You just relax and just network with people and just be open, and you'll learn so much more. Help each other, raise the industry.
Amazing, mate. Really, really good. It's been great to have you on here today, mate. Really, really cool as always. So one last thing. What does the future hold for Ricky Dubidat?
Oh, for me, as you know, the coaching and stuff like that. I'm doing like the coaching and stuff. With a deeper viewpoint on like the psychological and personal development, because you know that I've gone deep into that. Yeah, great. So there's that. For my schools, I've had the new school that I bought. It's like 5,500 square feet. I've had a personal training hub done in there. I've got an education hub in there. After this, by the way, I think there's going to be like a huge call for like education for children in so many different ways, because the education system at the moment is it's on its head. So if we can provide something that ties with what we're doing, it's an opportunity. So something that people can look at their facilities and think, could I? And then do that. And then what else is there for me? Just keep growing my business and just trying to reach out and help more people, because I love helping people. And with all the reading and like courses and stuff that I'm doing all the time, my wife's just like fed up with me just like reading and listening to stuff constantly. I like to get out there and try and innovate, try new things and stuff, and just help more people. So yeah, that's it for me.
Amazing, mate. Really, really good. Great to have you on here, mate, as always. And reach out to Rick as well. Follow him on his social media channels and stuff, and drop him an inbox. So great to have you on, mate. If you're listening around the world, guys, keep tuning in. We've got more interviews coming, and also updates and strategies and things like that. Martial Arts Business Podcast. Thanks for joining us on the YouTube channel. Thank you again, Rick. Take it easy, guys. And